it is. President Trump has made no secret of his desire to reform our criminal justice system. So today, he sat down with one of the foremost experts on the matter, Kim Kardashian West. I know it sounds like the beginning of a joke, but Kardashian West says she's been getting stacks of letters every day, some with words on them, since she worked to get a pardon for Alice Johnson in June. And today she took her legal talents to the Oval Office to discuss the case. The federal inmate Chris Young, who was sentenced to life in prison as a 20-year-old under mandatory minimum laws for drug possession. They were joined by Jared Kushner and Ivanka Trump, whom Kim credits with helping her get the president's attention back in May. And it is a match made in reality TV heaven. But can the man who wrote The Art of the Deal reform our prison systems by keeping up with Kardashians? The panel returns. Mattie, Robbie, and Brooke. What did you make of Kim Kardashian's jaunt to the White House?
So
it's a busy news day. This is one of those things that gets lost in the shuffle, and we're not going to let that happen.
Busy day in D.C. But at first, the Kim Kardashian thing was a little funny. You know, reality TV stars do what they will with all their celebrity. But frankly, we've let the experts have their go at this issue. Our criminal justice system is a mess, and the experts have incarcerated hordes of our population for essentially no reason and no rehabilitative purposes. What Kim Kardashian has is a platform, and she has a platform to expose the travesty of our criminal justice system. So I actually have come around on this Kim Kardashian thing. I think it's great that she's getting engaged. I think it's great that she's sitting down with members of the Trump administration and telling these stories. Otherwise, no one would ever know.
I agree with you. I think it's fantastic because a lot of times what celebrities do is they spout platitudes that are very vague. And they sound incredibly shallow, but I like that she goes in with a list of names, and she goes in with specific people and highlights their unique cause, because then it makes you realize, oh, wait a second, there might be thousands of other people wrapped up in this exact same system who are victims of mandatory minimum sentencing laws.
Exactly right. She has specific people in mind. This isn't vague, like save the whales type stuff. I do, and it's frustrating because criminal justice reform legislatively has kind of hit some stumbling blocks in the last couple of years, even though it has a lot of bipartisan support. So I would love to see those things.
There have been a number of conversations happening both this week and the past week. I mean, we had senators up at the White House talking to Trump about this issue. He mentioned it in State of the Union. I mean, this is something that actually is kind of like low temper.
And he also, you know, this is a way of him getting under Jeff Sessions' skin without having to use Twitter.
Right.
Totally.
Brooke? You're a lawyer.
I agree with what everyone just said. I have a lot of respect for Kim. I think she's doing a great job. I think this woman in particular, Alice Johnson, has a particularly tragic story. She has spent, 22 years in prison for a non-violent offense, a first-time drug-related offense, and she's, you know, exactly what you guys said, accomplishing what we can't do at Capitol Hill. I have no idea why this is being pushed till after the midterm elections. It's something that everybody agrees on. We need to have criminal justice reform.
It's definitely the way the conversation is moving in this country.
Except for Jeff Sessions, I think a lot of people on the right do want a more sane criminal justice system that's not locking people up forever, you know, costing us tons of money to incarcerate these people well beyond them being any sort of threat
And it's
to our
also
society.
nuanced enough to separate people who are awful, hardcore rapists and violent offenders who should be the ones rotting in prison and then in hell, versus people who are non-violent drug offenders who are engaging in consensual transactions. But they've been lumped together for decades, and that is perhaps the greatest miscarriage. All right. Anything else?
Well, it's also not just Republicans who can get engaged in this effort. I mean, there's bipartisan support for criminal justice reform. You see it happen in a lot of Republican states, actually. Republicans have led the way in a lot of these states where they've taken some of these efforts to get recidivism down, and we need the federal government to follow suit. I mean, simply telling these stories is a good start. You know, Chris Young, this young guy that got jailed with the judge now, is saying that he needs to not be a victim of mandatory minimums because they're senseless.
Yeah, that's a crazy story. Kim Kardashian highlighted it today. You were all the highlight of my day. Thank you so much. Brooke and Robbie and Mattie. Great to see you all. Topical Storm is next. Stay here.